Hey guys, and welcome back to Series 2, Episode 18 of the House Renovations.
Today's video is a super fun one for us. Anyway, hopefully you guys are going to find it fun and exciting as well, because today we can finally get around to fitting our IKEA kitchen.
Yes, and in previous videos, James has prepped the room and built the cabinets, and now hopefully is the time to fix them to the wall.
And if you're new here, you might not know this, but this isn't my job. I'm not in the trade, I'm not in the profession of DIY and doing kind of building work. This is the first time we've ever taken on a challenge or a project quite like this. So this isn't going to be a tutorial of how to exactly install an IKEA kitchen. This is basically a video to show how easy it is to fit an IKEA kitchen by someone who doesn't do this as their actual job. Hopefully you can find it fun and exciting. So we're starting off today's video by installing the suspension rail to attach our cupboards to. This is fairly easy to do, we just have to make sure that it's square and level. So now just going to be adjust the feet to get the level. A few adjustments later, we can now see that, if I put a level on here, that we are perfectly level this way, and then also we are perfectly level this way as well, and vertically we are level as well. And now that means that this corner cabinet is in its final position, which is incredible. It has taken us a little bit of time of like fine tweaking, fine tuning, getting those rails on the exact height, the exact measurements. If this is out a tiny bit, that will basically kick every other cupboard out of line and out of level and stuff. So that's why we spent a long time doing this here. And now we can basically bolt all of the other cupboards to it, and we know that it's going to be perfectly level and flat and straight and look all nice and awesome. So we now know that this here is all nice and solid, and basically nothing's going to move now. This is going to be the final positions for all of this, and it is completely rock solid as well. It's not moving at all. So basically we know that we've got a nice solid fixing to put the rest of the kitchen in. Gosh, that scared me. That was the microwave just being put in, and also the oven cabinet. These are completely rock solid, not moving at all, which is good. Means they're nice and rigid and stuck against the wall, so they're not going to be wobbly, which obviously you don't want in kitchen cabinets. And now what I'm going to do is put this one in, which is the last one on this bottom row before I put that cabinet there back in the alcove. Is in. Just got to fasten the actual cupboard together now. Everything fits, everything's in, the drawers are all in, it's all working. This is honestly such an exciting time. So we will be having top cupboards which go into the corner. So top cupboards along there and top cupboards along here. So obviously to get the top cupboards on, we need to put another rail along this top edge. And one thing that I've kind of noticed or kind of knew when we actually done this kitchen, when we got it plastered and stuff, is this corner of the ceiling kind of drops down a little bit because this is such an old house. Some of the joists in the ceiling were slightly lower, so we've got a tiny bit of a bow into that corner. And if I get a level now and get it level, we are about 30 mil out on that side, but we are completely level with the ceiling on that side over there. So that's one thing that I have to bear in mind when we actually come to put that top rail on. If I went to put that top rail on and put it up too high on this side, obviously it's going to run up and go into the top corner up there, and that means that the cupboard won't actually hook on over that rail. It does mean that there's going to be a bigger gap on one side above the cupboard than the other, but it does mean that the cupboards are actually going to fit. And as you can see here, I did ask my dad for a hand to get that top rail on, which is a good thing because he brings Riley with him. Hopefully it will go on first time.
Right. He's on my side.
He's a good boy. So, more importantly, what does Riley think? What's the verdict? What do you think of the corner cupboard? Are you happy that it's up and the kitchen's getting there, or are you just more interested in your little monkey? Let's see your little monkey. Right, so my dad and unfortunately Riley too have just gone, but it was a good help basically to get an extra pair of hands to get those rails up and to get this corner cupboard in. And now this one is perfectly level. I've managed to get another bit of block of wood to square this corner cupboard up. So I can now get a nice clamp these cupboards together, and then I can get some screws and I can drill these together to basically give it a nice rigid and solid feel. Now I've seen other people like do IKEA kitchens, and a lot of people build the cupboards together on the floor in one big unit and kind of lift the whole unit on, so it's like one big unit, which is probably ideal if your walls are completely flat and also there's like a couple of you kind of doing it. But because I'm pretty much doing most of this myself, I'm finding it a hell of a lot easier to basically put one cupboard on at a time and drill it in and then do the next one, rather than trying to lift up 4 or 6 cupboards all in one go. So we have 2 more cupboards to go on, which are identical to these 2 up here, and they will bolt underneath and it will go level to that corner cupboard over there. And I've just kind of realized that I probably should have put another one of those rails at this level here as well for these 2 cupboards to hook on. Otherwise, if I just put a couple of screws through here to hold that cupboard up, that's going to be a hell of a lot of weight when it's all filled with all of our stuff. That's a lot of weight basically being held on those screws. So what I'm going to do now is I just cut this to length, is basically screw this up across there so I know that these are actually supported by a rail as well. And here's a little tip: when you're drilling into a wall and you want to put some of these raw plugs in, if you press them in, you can't really get them past that bit there. If you then get your screw and a hammer, you can then push those plugs in a little bit further, which helps kind of give it a little bit more grip when you're actually drilling the screw or screwing the screw into the wall. You see, so that red bit there doesn't go in far enough. Tap that in a bit further. That means we've got a good fixing behind it. So I feel a lot better now that rail is all nice and solid. It gives me a lot more confidence with the actual cupboard being held up properly. Now, if you did it the other way around, it'll be a hell of a lot easier because you have to like lift it on and click it onto that rail. So doing the bottom ones means you could then do the top ones, but I've obviously already fastened my top ones to that top rail and I don't have to take them off again. So luckily for me, I can actually slide it onto the rail this way without having to take those off. There we go. Slide that on. There we go. But I'm obviously only doing this to show you. I've obviously got to put that one in first. I'm kind of doing this all in reverse at the moment. So I'm going to take this one back off, slide that one on, then I can put this one on here.
Now our cupboards are on that suspension rail, it means I can now attach the soft close hinges.
How good the kitchen is looking. James has done most of the cupboards and I am super pleased with how it's coming together. We still got a few more bits to do on these cupboards, like take the protective film off when we're ready and put the handles on. And then we've got a couple more cupboards over here to go up, but we can't do that until we have the extractor. That's not here yet. This gap is not having a cupboard. This is where the dishwasher is going, so this has just got to stay. And then we basically just got to wait for the fridge, the extractor, and the worktops to turn up. So hopefully you'll get to see them in the next video.